What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Beyond the Junkyard podcast. I am your host, Junkyard James, and as always, on the live stream edition of the show, my co host, Cody Marinera, is here with me. How are you doing, my friend?
Well, sir, we are doing phenomenal. Weather is doing great. Other things are doing great. There's a cool thing happening. I will save that for a couple weeks. I'll tell you about it later. May or may not bring it on the show in a couple weeks. We'll see. But yeah, things are doing very, very well over here. How about you, sir? Happy belated birthday to your father, Big Jimbo, Junkyard Senior.
Yes.
OG Junkyard. Well, not really. OG Junkyard James. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's been pretty good over here. Hey, you said the weather's great. No, it ain't. It's too fucking cold in the mornings now. Can we just find a happy medium somewhere where I don't have to pull the jacket out in the morning? Because yeah. See, I hate the heat, but I hate the cold as well. If you can just find a perfect medium somewhere, I would be just totally fine. I know we're doing pretty good. And today's episode is a special episode. One, because it's on a Friday, but two, this is episode number 150 of this podcast. And yeah, it's been a pretty long journey for this podcast. The transition happened, I think, around episode 25, where it went from just my solo podcast to this live stream that we've been doing for just about a year or so now. I'm a little bit over. Well, no, it'll be about 2 years, I think, since we started doing these live stream episodes. The Beyond the Junkyard podcast. So it's been a journey, episode 150. And we got to do some housekeeping here real quick. Like always, hit that like button, comment in the chat. This is a live stream. We have a live audience. Hopefully there's somebody watching. Comment, be a part of the show. We will dedicate time during the show to communicate to our live audience. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, and then go join our Discord. We are trying to slowly build up a community, the Real Wrestling community, and we need you to join that Discord page and help be active. And let's talk some pro wrestling while we're not on the live stream. You can communicate with us that way. Hitting the Discord. That link is the first link in the description box. We got to thank all of our beautiful and wonderful partners. That's WWE Shop. That's RSS.com, and that's W Energy, and it's also a sponsor I'll let you talk about here for a minute, and that is StubHub. As we enter into our weekly segment called TikTok, go ahead and take it away, my friend.
There we go. Sorry. It's as if we've never done this before. Good old TikTok. Appreciate the transition, sir. Thank you for very, very, very much for that. Of course, got to thank the sponsor that sponsors this segment. Good old StubHub. If you guys are looking to score tickets to that hottest event in your town, StubHub has got you covered. Whether it is a concert, they are transitioning from the amphitheaters and the outdoors for most places in the States to arenas with the weather getting cooler. Sports games, obviously. NFL still going in full swing. World Series is kicking off tonight. NHL is in full swing. College basketball is right around the corner. College football is in full swing. NASCAR is winding down their season, so still wrestling events, of course, are happening year round. So still a bunch of things you can go to. You can go to watch your sports game, must-see Broadway show, concerts, all sorts of good stuff. StubHub is your one-stop shop for live event tickets. With millions of listings, you can easily find the best seats at the best prices. Plus, with StubHub's 100% buyer guarantee, you can shop with confidence knowing that your tickets are legit and ready for you to enjoy the experience. So why wait? Don't miss out on the action. Visit StubHub today and get your tickets to unforgettable moments. StubHub, the world's largest ticket marketplace. Be sure to use the link down below in the description as well, so you guys can support the podcast while also getting your ticketing needs. The family and I are going to a Clemson football game next Saturday. Got our tickets through there. Thanks to the link that I use to sponsor and support our podcast. We use tickets for that. Also got parking pass and all that good stuff. So we use StubHub because, well, like I said, it's got 100% buyer guarantee, world's largest ticket marketplace. So thanks StubHub for allowing us to enjoy that game next week. I don't know really what to call it because it's not going to be the Clemson of old. I'm just hoping for a win. We'll see.
The Duke Blue Devils come down to Clemson, South Carolina, and absolutely beat the absolute shit out. Anyways, sorry, I'll shut up. You can go ahead and tell us some ticketing news.
You're right. Anyways, so a little bit of lackadaisical with our preparation for today. There's a reason behind all that. Friday instead of Thursday, just a bunch of stuff happening. But did kind of wrap up some things here pretty quickly that we will look at real quick. So we're going to first start with some of the final counts that have happened over the last weekend. I did mention kind of the ticket sales for Raw and SmackDown this past week. Raw in Sacramento, SmackDown in San Jose, that the ticket sales for those were struggling a little bit. Not struggling, but they were in lower demand. And that's kind of the case with what happened this past week. So Friday Night SmackDown last Friday, October 17th, was at the SAP Center in San Jose, California. They did draw a very, very good crowd. Of course, it's a very good crowd. 10,968 tickets were distributed. The Raw in San Jose, January 13th of this year, a little over 9 months ago, maybe 8 months ago, they drew 13,301. So a shade over 2,000 tickets less sold this go round than before. Take that into consideration what you want. Still a very good number, of course, by all counts of distribution. Raw in Sacramento, they made a really, really good, strong late push. They were only at the 8,000 mark, I believe, last week when we had this show. And this past Monday, they did distribute 10,106. So they did get over the 10,000 threshold as well. However, they were in Sacramento in April of this year, so only 6 months ago, and they drew 14,194. So they were basically 4,000 under from that crowd back in April. Still, great crowd, great attendance figure for sure. But I'm sure WWE looks at it as, we did draw 4,000 less tickets. Still a success, but kind of interesting how that happens. We're going to move on over to AEW WrestleDream. Happened this past Saturday, October the 18th in the Chaffetz Arena in St. Louis. It drew 6,293. Also had a really good last couple days of selling up to the day of the show. The last time that they were in that arena was for Collision, December 12th of 24, a little bit less than a year ago. They drew 2,343. So very, very well done on the tickets distributed for WrestleDream pay-per-view. Kind of figure that. However, the last time they were in this arena for a pay-per-view was April the 21st of last year for Dynasty. They drew 6,619. So about 300 plus tickets less than Dynasty. pretty close to a sellout crowd, though. I would say that's still a very big success for AEW for the fact that MJF is on the card, Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland, 3 really big top stars for them, not on this card, and they still drew almost close to a sellout crowd. So pretty good showing for AEW for WrestleDream, and good crowds for Raw and SmackDown, even if they did all still draw a little bit less than last time they were in those arenas. Still a good crowd nonetheless. All right, let's go ahead and switch on over to a couple things. We're going to first look at a very interesting show that I'm very much looking forward to, but I want to see what the attendance figures will look like as we get closer and closer to the day of the show. And it is Dynamite from the Co-op Live in Manchester, England. Second time they're going to the UK this year. This is happening on December the 17th, 2 days before your boy's birthday. And that arena, I'm not very familiar with that arena, but it looks like they hold about 18,604 seats there. And this was the update as of today, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock this morning. So far, the tickets distributed is 8,235, which is up 357 from 8 days ago, according to WrestleTix. They've got the current setup for a little over 11,000. They got about 2,878 tickets available at the moment based on the current setup. They got 54 days to go to the show. So they're doing pretty well with the selling of this show. Cheapest ticket you can get is £31.50. That seems like a really good price. I'm not 100% sure how the UK currency compares to the US, but seems like it's a really good price for watching wrestling live at the Co-op Live in Manchester. Anything over 10,000 is a success for Dynamite, in my opinion, especially with being in England. The bigger the number, obviously will look much better. So they still got quite a bit of the arena that they haven't opened up yet. So I expect those to slowly start opening up more and more as we get closer to the day of the show. So we still got a little bit less than 3 months to go for that show, closer to 2 months, two and a half. So expecting going to be tracking this show a little bit as we keep getting closer and closer to it. See how close we get to that 10,000 and even over. Hopefully we do. Also looking at SmackDown happening Friday, November the 7th. So 14 days away from tonight. And the Bon Secours Wellness Arena, Greenville, South Carolina. The current setup is for 6,042, and they've distributed 4,064 tickets, meaning that there's 1,996 to go. Up 465 since the last update of 7 days ago on WrestleTix. The cheapest ticket available is $54.25. If you look at the Ticketmaster map for this, there is a crap ton of lower level seats that are available, probably because those are very expensive. But they've only opened up, including the upper decks, a little over half of the arena. So it's a little odd seeing that for a Greenville town. It's usually a WWE market. So I expected that to, and it's a B town, so maybe that has something to do with it. But interested to see kind of how those tickets get distributed more and more as we go. WWE was last here in this arena on May the 19th, so it's only going to be a little over 5 months since they visited this arena. And they drew 9,812 for Raw. So this is post-Mania that they were there for. So we've got 5,800 tickets to go, pretty much. Not sure if they're going to get to that, but I'm sure they could. But just seems like really, really low demand at the moment for some of these crowds. So it's interesting to see. But it would be interesting to see how that goes as we move closer to that. Last but not least, we are going to look at AEW Dynamite Blood and Guts. So we are going to, in a matter of 19 days from now, in Greensboro, North Carolina. As of WrestleTix, the update came out today at a little right around 8 o'clock this morning. They are up to 3,194 tickets distributed. They have 939 tickets available with a current setup of 4,133. And that is plus 127 since the last update of 7 days ago. 19 days to go in the show. And the cheapest ticket available right now is $29.45. They do have a couple new sections that have opened up every other row. But we're getting closer to that show. My goal, like I've said in the past updates, is 5,400. Every time AEW has come to Greensboro, they've drawn over 5,400 people. Take away the Revolution pay-per-view from last year. They've been here for a Dynamite and a Collision, and both of those drew over 5,400 people. So as long as we can get over 5,400, to me, that's going to be considered a success for a weekly show for AEW in this market. So, at 19 days ago, hopefully we can bump that number up a little bit as we get there. Really good seats still available, especially at that price. You got lower level seats at $29.45. 2 rings, 1 big cage. First ever female blood and guts match. Should be a lot of fun. Can't wait to go to that. But we'll be tracking that as we closer and closer to showtime. Hopefully we can get over that threshold of 5,000 and hopefully over the 5,400. And that's your ticket talk for this week.
Awesome work there by our what do we call him, the ticket expert, Cody Marinara there. I you mentioned the first ever women's blood and guts, and we'll get to some AEW stuff, especially with Dynamite and all of that at the end of the show. But you mentioned it seems like we might have 2 blood and guts matches. With some of the feuds turning out the way that they are, to me at least, it looks like we're getting a men's blood and guts and a women's blood and guts. Am I crazy for thinking that? We might have lost him. Hold on 1 second. Oh, there he is. Did you hear anything I said?
Yes, I did. Okay. That must have been on my end. Yeah, I'm not sure. It does seem that way, but for 19 days to go, we know there's at least 1 blood and guts match going to happen. It's supposed to be on the women's side, yet we're really being convoluted as to who is going to face who. It may be the 8 women that were in that 8 women's tag match last night, or 2 nights ago. I don't know. It just seems really weird that we're this close to that show and we have not really built it more up and announced even the blood and guts match. I'm not sure what's going to happen. It would be kind of cool to see 2 blood and guts matches happening in the same night, but I'm not real sure.
Yeah, so I think once they announce those blood and guts matches, we might get a run of tickets to be sold there. And then the second point I wanted to make about some stuff that you were talking about is that SmackDown show in Greenville. One, you're probably right. The ticket sales aren't selling because in certain areas it probably is going to cost you $300 or $400 or $500 to get a seat. But also, Cena ain't going to be there. So outside of John Cena, SmackDown's pretty boring from what I've heard. I haven't watched it in quite a minute. I think I've seen some of WrestleTix stuff, and the shows that Cena is appearing on have been selling pretty well. But the shows that he's not going to be on right now, I don't think anyone can justify paying those WWE prices for just a 2-hour or 3-hour event. That I don't know. You don't get a whole lot of entertainment outside of some vignettes and bunch of advertisements. But let's move on to the next segment on the show. It's one of my favorite times of the show. It is time for our mid-card meltdown. All right, my friend, one or two things within the past week or so that have grinded your gears in the pro wrestling world.
I haven't really seen. All right. Well, no, just kidding. There is something. So the whole Sarah Stock thing is just maddening and ridiculous and all that. If pro wrestling is entertainment.
Yep.
That features some athleticism, and I guess you can qualify that as sports entertainment.
Yep.
We all know it's entertainment. They're going to do things that make it entertaining.
Yep.
I do believe that we kind of compare this to movies where they do stuff to be entertaining.
Yep.
Does that mean that you have to watch every little thing in the world? No. Does that mean that there's probably going to be things that you don't like? Yes.
Yep.
For the most part, WWE is a kid-friendly product. And you see a bunch of kids in the crowd. And they also do and say things that probably some people would be like, I'm not really sure if I want my kid exposed to that.
Right.
Same thing with AEW. AEW more so maybe than WWE, especially on pay-per-views, but you are paying for the show. Therefore, it's more so allowed on those circumstances for them to do a little bit more crazier things.
Right.
And if you don't want your kid to watch, don't let them watch.
Right.
Pause the show. Tell them to go away, or wait till they go to bed or something and watch the rest.
Right. Right.
Responsibility. That's it. And the fact that we're going to go crazy over a spot that happened last Saturday between Moxley and Darby Allin in their I Quit match, where Darby had his head submerged in a fish tank.
Right.
Wasn't like we buried this man in a 6 foot deep pool and his entire body was underneath it. It was his head. And I'm sure they had, they knew the spot was going to happen. Darby's going to go as crazy as he can to make the match legit, entertaining, and all that stuff. Let it go.
So here's the part about that Darby Allin spot, and I was going to bring up Sarah Stock later on in the show, but that's fine, and we can talk about it here at this moment. It's all good.
Sorry, man.
We'll just throw the script out and we'll figure. We'll throw some things out there because I do agree with you. I think Sarah Stock is an absolute idiot for two main reasons. Number one, but first, I'll get to those reasons in a second. Go back to that Darby Allin spot. I don't know if people realize this. Darby Allin did that for months, training to climb Mount Everest. He has been on the record saying he can hold his breath for 5 minutes at a time. He was not anywhere near close to having any sort of problem with his head submerged underwater. You saw Jon Moxley pull him out so Darby can, again, catch his breath so that he can go back down. They did the spot as safe as humanly possible. And here's the thing that just irritates me about some of these people, because I think the Sarah Stock problem is the fact that AEW canned her ass 6 months ago, and she's a little jealous. She's a little bitter towards the company. She's also a hypocrite because when she wrestled in TNA, she strangled a woman with a fucking purse as part of her gimmick. She strangled a woman, and she's going to call that Darby Allin spot too much. And I've been seeing all week these commentators and podcasters and TikTok people, influencers, talk about, well, where's the line? Where do you draw the line? Well, let's just be, kids shouldn't be doing this. Kids are going to try this and injure themselves and hurt themselves. Newsflash, your kid does the pedigree wrong, you can permanently injure somebody. If you're worried about your kid trying something, the line is don't let them watch wrestling in the first place, because all of the injuries, all of the spots have a potential risk of catastrophic injury. That's why WWE on their video games, when they're at a live show, they play the "please do not try this at home" montage before the show starts or the video game starts, because it's all risky. It's all dangerous. Secondly, it wasn't like this was on live TV. This was on a pay-per-view. And Wednesday on Dynamite, they didn't show the spot because it is too edgy for TV. It is not PG-14, TV-14. Thirdly, why is your kid watching it? Why is your kid watching? Well, one, why are they up past midnight? I get it was a weekend, so but your kid should probably be in bed. Like, I remember when I was growing up, my parents watched Sons of Anarchy and some of those other shows, and they showed very graphic things on those shows. My parents would wait till late at night when I was asleep to watch them. So, one, take some personal accountability for your own kids. Don't let your kids have easy access to this stuff. And two, maybe teach them that, hey, these are trained professionals. Don't put your friend's head in the fish tank. Like, I think it's pretty simple. And I think, I don't know if you saw her entire Twitter rage, but she like defended Vince McMahon and the fact that he didn't rape her, so it's all fine. He's cool in her. It was very cringe. She probably should have stopped after the first tweet, but I don't know what she was doing. I don't know. To me, it was just a bitter rage of a woman who got canned because obviously she wasn't doing anything productive for the company. Anything else you want to add to the mid-card meltdown?
I mean, not really. I just think that, I mean, we've hit on the points. You and I both have come into the same kind of agreement. It's just, yeah, I just, I don't know. I think at the end of the day, I mean, it's just based on your responsibility. And yeah, that's pretty much it. No more to beat a dead horse than we already are at that point.
Absolutely. Well, I have one thing that has totally, absolutely driven me berserk this week. And it kind of goes along the same lines as the Sarah Stock stuff. But it's, for whatever reason, the old heads of the WWE have come out and some like mass like unified group on social media to try to take down what the hell? I don't know why that played again, but okay. That scared the living shit out of me, by the way. Anyways,
Poltergeist has appeared on the show.
The old heads of the WWE have apparently unified. There was a post that came out by Wrestle Purist yesterday. I guess Devon Dudley had an interview with videogamer.com, and he claims that AEW talent are frustrated over Tony Khan allowing other people to call the shots, to which Ricochet responded to just a few hours ago that if he said, this is not true. If Tony wants something to happen or not happen, I promise you he will make that final decision. It just, and we'll get to this point. So I've been accused several times by different people that I have been accused of saying that WWE is like the big giant bully. And I haven't straight out said it, but doesn't it feel like this, like the past couple weeks, WWE's been amping up their bully tactics? They're we'll get to Andrade here in a minute, but the whole Andrade situation seems to be like them trying to flex their muscle and say, like, we're the big bad wolf and we don't give a shit whether or not you agree with us or not. And then this whole thing with all of these, like Matt Hardy came out and saying that the Darby Allin spot was bad. And at WrestleDream, it's just like, I don't know. It irritates me to see like these professional wrestlers like Matt and Jeff Hardy and the Dudleys. They made a living off of dangerous spots like that, and now they're going to call it out as unsafe. They're going to call out Tony Khan for all of that crap, but like with I don't know. It just makes a lot of it. It's the same game. that I feel like it's always been played, and I don't know, it's irritating to see. Like, AEW is just trying to stay in its lane. Like, to be completely honest with you, if WWE stopped counter programming them, if WWE stopped, attacking them and spending the entire week of their pay-per-view, media blitzing, the negatives of AEW, like if they just left AEW alone and just did themselves, AEW probably would just exist. Like, and that's the thing, is like AEW is just trying to do its own thing at this point. I don't think Tony Khan really gives a shit about what WWE is doing. He's going to do what's best for AEW, and to just constantly, it seems like every week now there's some old head that used to wrestle shit talking WWE, and I don't know, that's probably my biggest frustration. Other than the subset of people on social media that are like completely misunderstanding the purpose of Mercedes and her belt collector gimmick. But I think with this tag tournament, I think everybody assumes she's in it. She's going to win. We'll talk about that later on in the show. Yeah. Let's move on from the mid-card down. Let's talk about Andrade for a minute. Well, I talked about it last Saturday. It seems he's gone for about a year now from appearing in any wrestling show, because WWE decided last minute to pull their 1-year release clause from his contract, because he got fired with cause. And so now I guess he's stuck for a year. This brought up, but there's been some developments in the story. So this also brought up the fact that earlier this week that Samantha Irvin had a 2-year non-compete, which is absolutely asinine to me. 2 years? She's a fucking announcer. It wasn't what trade at, like, the biggest thing that like everybody kept saying was, well, these non-competes are good for business because it helps protect your assets. She's an announcer. What assets could you possibly lose or be harmed in losing by having an announcer jump ship 2 weeks after she gets released and going to AEW? She's an announcer.
Or if you're worried about the asset being the fact that she was a ring announcer, why would you even let her go in the first place?
Right.
If you're so worried about, if you're that worried about losing your asset of having a ring announcer, why didn't you just extend her or keep her or re-sign her? I mean, that to me just speaks for itself right there. Right. I don't know.
So the point of the episode on Saturday, if you haven't watched it, it's only 30 minutes. After you watch this live stream, go back and watch my episode about Andrade and his case. And it brings me to believe that at some point in time, a wrestling union of some shape or form needs to take place. And oh my goodness, I hate to bring this up, but apparently the host of Mr. Meat Slapper, he did a whole 1 hour. His response to my episode was longer than the entire episode that I put out. Let's just put it that way on Tuesday. And I listened to his whole argument, and I don't know what to take. I'd have to listen to it again to be able to break down everything he said. But it was basically like, this guy, basically his response to me was, don't listen to this guy. He's full of shit. For just having an opinion. But anyways, I don't know. Then after the Samantha Irvin thing came out, was it today or yesterday? I can't quite remember. The information is moving kind of fast. That WWE has instituted this 1-year non-compete clause as a way of trying to bring Andrade back to WWE, because before he left, Andrade was tag teaming with Rey Fenix, and WWE does not feel as if Rey Fenix is good enough on his own to be like a singles wrestler. Hey, guess what, WWE? You have his fucking tag team partner on Raw. Put them together. Why do you have to put Andrade through this bullshit? One, because you booked them the wrong way. You have the Lucha Bros, but you split them. You could literally have the future of your tag team division right there. But no, you want to play these games, and again, it's bully tactics. It really is, because this is just WWE saying we can flex our muscle whenever you want, and you can't do shit about it. Because I mean, it would cost it a fortune to take WWE to court over this. And if Andrade took it to court, David Otunga came out flat out and said it. If Andrade took this to court, Andrade would win. But the problem is it worth going to court? Is it worth paying those expensive fees? Because by the time that the case gets settled, your 1 year will probably be up anyway. And so this right here is the reason why I feel like, and maybe it's not a union, but maybe there's a organization that can help these professional wrestlers get the treatment that they deserve, so that WWE can't take advantage of them. Because I'm sure that there's not like the wrestlers aren't fully aware of like what these clauses mean, because WWE's release clause was like it can be up to a year, but it doesn't have to be a year. The legalese inside of the clauses are very vague, and it really is in WWE's favor, which obviously if you're running the business, you probably want it to be in your favor, but it isn't fair. Anything you weren't on the show Saturday, so I'll let you have some time to speak your mind on the whole Andrade situation.
I mean, I think it's ridiculous. I feel AEW does their due diligence, and they try to make sure that whenever they not just sign, but especially have a former contracted WWE wrestler who just got released on their show, to make sure that he has no sort of compete clause or whatever the case may be. I know there's usually a difference between being fired and not resigned, and your contract basically expiring, and how all that works. I just think at the end of the day, if the guy is not going to be on your show, you've released him, you don't want nothing to do with him, he's gone, he should be free to sign and do whatever he wants without having that compete clause. And that goes for both companies. If you don't want the talent, you don't want to resign them, whether they cost too much, they're not on TV enough, you don't have anything creatively for them, they're no longer on your product, they're no longer on your roster, they're no longer contracted to your company, they should be free to show up wherever, whenever, and do whatever they want. The non-compete thing to me just doesn't make any sense. I hate it. I think it's ridiculous on both fronts. Just let the people make a living, not just on the indies, but if you really wanted them, you would have resigned, you would have worked out some sort of agreement. If you wanted to protect their assets, their IP, their whatever, you could have, but you decided not to.
Trademark the shit. Like,
yeah,
wasn't that the response? Like when I was complaining months ago about like all NXT is doing is taking the gimmicks of former AEW talent and just translating them over into NXT, and the response that I got from some people that I used to talk to and another Discord server was, all they got to do is all AEW has to do is trademark it. WWE is trademarking shit left and right. So if they really wanted to protect any form of asset with Andrade, they could have trademarked his entire look and had him do whatever, like have him go through those hoops. But I think the thing that irritates me the most about the whole Andrade situation is the fact that they didn't clarify his non-compete status until after he started making bookings, until after they saw that he was about to wrestle Kenny Omega. And they were like, oh shit, that might actually do good numbers for them. Let's throw this non-compete out there. And the fact that it's a 1-year non-compete, but they're not going to pay him, which, as far as I understand, and I'm not a legal scholar on contract law. As far as I'm aware, you cannot have a non-compete clause without offering some sort of payment
Severance, right? Yeah.
for them not being able to work. And if you're not going to pay Andrade, you can't not allow him to wrestle. This is again why David Otunga was saying, and David Otunga is a legal scholar and a former wrestler. He's saying if Andrade was able to take this to court, he has a very good chance of winning. This is the same kind of lawsuit that Brock Lesnar threw out there when he went over to New Japan. And Brock Lesnar won that case. And so, I don't know. Hopefully at some, WWE is going to play hardball, and they're hoping that one way, shape, or form Andrade shows back up in WWE. But if he doesn't, hopefully they settle somewhere and Andrade can be back in AEW sooner rather than later. But I don't know. All that's going to happen out of this is AEW, Tony Khan is petty. And I can imagine him finding a wrestler that he knows is probably bound for the WWE and has been injured for quite a while, and just adding a nonsensical amount of injury time. Someone like Britt Baker. I could just see him saying, you know what, you've been hurt for a year and a half now. I'm going to add a year and a half to your contract. And Britt Baker's just not going to wrestle for 5 years because they're just going to go back and forth because of these stupid games. I'm on the same side as you. Cut it out both sides. If you don't want to use the people, fire them, and have it be like when you fire a regular employee, they're eligible to work anywhere they freaking want the next day. And if you want to protect your IP and your assets and all of that, trademark it. But I don't know. This whole situation irritates me.
I totally agree with that. And this is kind of the ugly side of the wrestling business. Is this whole thing right here, and it sucks. And the only people the talent hurts, and it makes the promoters look bad because of this insane thing that happens. On a severe side note, and listen, I'm kind of putting you on the spot, and I'm sorry for that, but I don't really care. One of these days, I don't care how long of it is, and I don't care if the entire damn time we're arguing, bitching, and screaming. We're going to get you and Way Too Deep on a show to do a debate. I'll be the moderator. That's one. No holds barred. Gloves come off. I just want to see it. I'll moderate it. I don't care.
All right.
I won't take any sides.
I'll let you get that set up, and then we can figure it out, I guess. That would be the most viewed episode of the podcast ever, probably.
Yeah.
All right.
We can brand it as Beyond the Slapping Meat. I don't care how we brand it. We just gotta do
it. You finalize the details on that, and we can do that. All right, let's segue though into our final area of discussion tonight, and that is some AEW news. Typically we do WWE news, but there ain't nothing newsworthy about the WWE to talk about. Let's talk about some AEW stuff. WrestleDream was last week, and other than the Darby Allin stuff we kind of already talked about, it was a pretty good show. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It was probably a better show than I honestly expected. and I'm very high on AEW shows. And this was a better show than I thought. I think I ended up, if I calculate it correctly, well, there were 8 matches, and then Mercedes Moné added a match that we didn't predict. So I think I ended up 4-4. I can't remember, and I can't seem to find my. I was keeping tally on my phone, and I can't find it anymore. But I think I
have it here for us.
Oh, fun.
You ended up 1, 2, 3. So there was 8 matches, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
8. You ended up 6-2.
Oh, okay. Well, I did better than I thought I did.
And I ended up
8-0.
6-2.
All right.
But we both got the same match wrong, and then we each got a match wrong separately. So it was very interesting.
Yeah, and that show was very fun. I know one of the matches that I picked Tekla to win, and she didn't win. So, and you picked Statlander to win that, right? And she won. She retained.
We both picked Statlander. The match that I got wrong that you got right was the Bucks versus Jurassic Express. I had the Bucks winning. You had Jurassic Express winning. And then I wrongly believed and listened to you and thought that Takeshita and Okada winning the tag belts was best for business. And apparently Tony Khan said that was not. And we got exposed. Should have went my gut feeling and stick with Prayodito, but I didn't.
Yeah, I don't know, because I think I had a change of mind, because if I go on social media, I'm almost certain I still had Takeshita and them winning, I think. That match.
I wrote down on my paper, Brodito, and then you talked me into it. I was like, damn, you know what? I kind of like his idea. And I went with him.
So, what was your favorite match of this pay-per-view?
I'm honestly going to say Jurassic Express and the Young Bucks. I think they had a barn burner. And there was a lot of really good matches on the card. Statlander and Tony had a really good match. I thought that the Tekla Jamie Hayter match was good. The tag team title match was very good. But I think Jurassic Express versus the Young Bucks was a match of the night for sure.
Yeah, my favorite match was the Kyle Fletcher Mark Briscoe match. And oh my goodness, like Kyle Fletcher is the future of AEW.
That was a really good match too.
Yeah. I mean, and Mark Briscoe, like he
for sure.
He I don't know how to explain Mark Briscoe, because he can play a serious character really well, but he can also play like the comedy gimmick very well. And so I think he's a very versatile wrestler. And I think he obviously knows he's near the end of his career. And so it's not necessarily like important for him to win a whole lot of championships or whatever. So I don't know. He's just a very good person to have in AEW. I've really thoroughly enjoyed watching some of his work. And Kyle Fletcher is the guy right now. I did like the Brodito match, even though I disagreed with the finish there. And then it's probably going to go down as the worst match of the night, even though it was still a really good match. That Trios Tornado tag match was pretty good as well. It's this entire show had really good matches. We had that impromptu match with Mercedes Moné and Mina Shirakawa, where I thought it was a decent match, but for as big as the surprise that it could have been, I don't know if Mina Shirakawa was like the name everybody was expecting, but they put on a decent match. I think Dave Meltzer gave it a 3.5 star, 3.5 out of 5. He gave that Young Bucks match 4 3/4 stars. It wasn't even a 5-star match. I thought it was a 5-star match. There were several matches on this card that probably should have gotten 5 stars, but
I just stopped listening to Meltzer and his star ratings. They infuriate me.
Yeah, some of them are a little out there, but all right. And so, any big takeaways from WrestleDream? I feel like Full Gear is literally basically going to be the same thing as WrestleDream. That was my biggest takeaway from Dynamite last night. Was it's basically Full Gear is basically going to be the same storylines for the most part as WrestleDream.
It's got that set up for sure. I could easily see Joe and Hangman go at it again. Statlander versus Monet for the women's belt is going to be interesting. Not sure how to fully feel about it, but it's going to be interesting. You got to think Takeshita and Okada is right around the corner. If it's not going to happen in Full Gear, it's happening soon.
Right.
And yeah, I think that we've got some repeat matches happening that I think will happen at Full Gear, but I think we've got a couple things on the horizon that I think might, be building towards Full Gear and make it a little bit different of a card as well. But show is shaping up to be good. I just think with 10 days in between Blood and Guts and Full Gear, it's kind of a weird timing to do that. But should be interesting either way with the build of Full Gear and how Blood and Guts kind of plays in the role of that. If any matches happen from the fallout of Blood and Guts going into Full Gear, how all that works. The Darby and Moxley thing, I don't really know what else they can do. I mean, I understand you can say, hey, I'm moving on to something bigger and better, but I've always got you guys in the back of my eyes, my back of my head.
So this is where I don't know if they're going to have a match at the pay-per-view, because I think this comes to fruition at Blood and Guts. That's what I was saying. We were going to have a men's Blood and Guts match. It would be the Conglomeration and Darby versus the Death Riders, and I guess they would have to add an extra person. And so that's where I see it going. And you'd have like Willow. Well, I guess you could have Willow, Darby, Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, Briscoe might. I don't know where Briscoe goes. He could be part of that, and then Marina and the 4 or 5 other guys in the Death Riders. And they'd have a Blood and Guts match and then you'd have the women's Blood and Guts match as well. But again, they really haven't made it clear what they're doing at Blood and Guts. You would think they would start that booking for that show like ASAP. But yeah, I agree with you on that. I don't know what else you could do one-on-one with Darby and Moxley. They've basically done just about anything you can do.
Yeah, agreed. I guess we'll find out in due time.
I do want to ask, what was your thought on the finish of that Darby match? Because that finish took a lot of heat. It was like John Moxley tapped too quickly, or he looked like a bitch, basically. I have a purpose for why he tapped that quickly. I don't know if you listened to the Meat Slapper podcast. He said that Sting was completely meaningless, and that he basically compared it to like the Undertaker showing up at WrestleMania 40, and that we should never complain about WWE using old guys when Sting comes out whenever he wants. This is Sting's first appearance, by the way, since he retired, and he was in the ring for all of 20 seconds. But what was your thought on that finish?
At least Sting makes sense. Sting has been with Darby ever since he joined AEW in 2020, and has always been with Darby and said he would have Darby's back. Taker coming out for Roman versus Roman versus
Cody.
Cody
To
had
choke
no
slam John
purpose in that
Cena.
story at all.
Right.
I had no purpose in that story whatsoever.
Right.
It's two totally different things. I don't remember Undertaker coming to Cody Rhodes' aid for 3 years or a year prior to this. I got your back, Cody. I don't remember him saying anything like that. So it's not the same.
Right.
And Sting was there, like you said, for 20 seconds. And I think we all knew Sting was going to make an appearance at some point. I thought maybe it was going to be at All In or hell, even All Out. But WrestleDream was cool to see him come out. Moxley tapping was weird. That I quit. And if he said I quit, I didn't hear him.
Right.
Maybe that was the purpose. Maybe that was the goal. I don't know. But the way that the match kind of finished was kind of weak, in my opinion, to lead to it being to Moxley saying I quit. It would have made more sense if, like, Darby had Moxley wrapped in chains and did the Scorpion in, like, something. But it was a little weird seeing the way that the match ended.
So you have to remember, though, that Moxley was technically laying on a pool of broken glass. The fish tank was broken. But it all, like, remember with Hangman, Moxley was choked out and quit after 0.5 milliseconds. So they're using kind of the storyline that when Moxley's put in a situation that he can't control the situation, he cowers out as quickly as possible to avoid any punishment. I think this ultimately leads to Jon Moxley getting kicked out of Death Riders. And so Moxley taps because he was in a position. He realized Darby is never going to quit. There's nothing I can do. Therefore, one of us either dies or I just give up because there's nothing I can do and I don't want to go through anything more difficult than where I'm at right now. Basically, Moxley just kind of cowered it out. Like he was like, I'm done with this. I'm pissed off. Darby will never quit. And so I'm just going to quit to get out of this situation. That's the way I took it. It was almost like, if you remember when Jey Uso won the WWE Championship from Gunther, Gunther tapped when he got choked out because Gunther never gets choked out. And now that's his weakness, is when you choke out Gunther, he taps immediately. It's kind of the same thing in my book.
That makes sense. I can see that, yeah.
I don't know.
It's the heel way of doing things.
Right.
That makes sense from that character's standpoint. The heel dynamic of it, that makes sense. I can see that.
All right. One final topic, because I can't wait to get your reaction to this. So, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, you said that you prayed to God that the AEW Women's Tag Team Championship Tournament was not an 8-woman team tournament. And this Wednesday, the brackets were released, and what did we get? We got an 8-woman team tournament. We have Aminata and Jamie Hayter fighting the Sisters of Sin, which is Julia Hart and Sky Blue. We have Willow and Harley fighting the team of Mercedes Moné and Athena. We have Megan Bain and Penelope Ford going up against Ty J. We have Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa going up against the surprise tag team of Alex Windsor. Alex Windsor and Riho. What are your thoughts on this tag team tournament, my friend?
I almost feel that somehow or another Tony Khan listens and says, even though you're a big fan, we're going to do something that just makes you so pissed off. And that's that. Not only do we get an 8-woman tag team tournament, Riho is in this tournament. I'm deadly surprised we didn't get Emi Sakura and Yuka Sakazaki in the same damn breath as well.
Well, Alex Windsor has been tag teaming with Yuka Sakazaki on ROH.
Yes, okay. Why didn't she? Never mind. Anyways, I just don't get it. I don't get it. If you have Mercedes Moné at all these different promotions, you couldn't get two of their best gals into this tournament and make it and feel as prestige. I don't care if I don't know the women. It's the feel of these people are fighting for something that's brand new. We've never heard of these people. It's a way to get their promotion on national television. But at the same time, be like, damn, people from all over the world are wanting to be in this tournament because they want to be the first ever women's tag team champions in AEW. That makes sense. It's a special thing. But no, we don't even get that. I would appreciate at least a team from Stardom and a team from CMLL.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. I'm a little shocked we didn't get a Stardom team or a CMLL team. Especially, I watched that CMLL all women show, and they have some really good women's wrestlers in CMLL. That this is the first time I've seen them wrestle, but they're actually pretty good wrestlers. I don't like some of these matchups. Like you put the two favorites and Ty-J and Bane and Penelope Ford in the first round together. That sucks. You put Willow and Harley against Monet and Athena, which sucks because like Willow and Harley probably should have at least one win, but there's a good chance they don't. Hayter and Aminata picked the Sisters of Sin as their first round matchup. That I don't know. A lot of these first round matchups to me could have been second round matchups or third round matchups. I don't know. With all of the women in the like, you could have had some ROH people show up in here, like more ROH people. I do agree that this probably should have been a bigger tournament, a larger field, because there are more than 8 women and 8 women's tag teams that you can showcase. I'm surprised Lacey Lane isn't in this tournament. I don't know. They missed an opportunity to have a more prestigious tournament. I guess my question for you though is, before any of the matchups take place, who wins? Who becomes the first ever AEW Women's World Tag Team Champions?
Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford.
Okay.
And then we're going to get a title changing hands at Grand Slam Australia where Willow and Harley win the belts.
Oh. So I think everybody and their mom thinks, oh, well, Mercedes Moné is in this tournament. She's going to automatically win. She'll be 13 belt Moné or whatever. And I think AEW is going to make it seem as if that's the direction they're going. I think they make it to the finals. I think they beat some of the favorites, Willow and Harley. They'll probably beat Aminata and Hayter. And so I think they end up in the finals. I think, and I took some flack on this because I put my predictions up on TikTok earlier today. I took some flack on TikTok for some rando that I've never even seen before. I think Riho and Windsor beat Toni Storm.
Don't do that.
And Mina Shirakawa. And this is why the unsuspected tag team that's never worked together before, they face in the first round a group, 2 women that have lost all of their championships. And then you have the unsuspecting tag team get a win. And then they fight Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford and get their ass kicked in the second round. And so the finals are Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford versus Mercedes Moné and Athena. And everybody's like, oh, why should we even watch this match? Mercedes Moné is going to just win. And then they end up losing, and Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford are your first ever AEW Women's World Tag Team Champions. In reality, Ty-J should be the first ever champions, because without them, there probably would never be an idea of a women's tag team division in this company without some of their tag team wrestling. And in reality, all 8 of these tag teams, or 7 of the 8 of these tag teams, are legitimate enough to be tag team champions. I do think that some of these first round matchups are how we set up for the Blood and Guts match. It just makes way too much sense. All of the people basically in some of these first round matchups have some chemistry that has stated like months ago and will ultimately end at Blood and Guts. But no, I agree with you. I think Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford will be the first women's AEW World Tag Team Championship. And then they'll go on to have a really good title reign, and the division will get better and better and better. And it will prove you wrong that this division is going to be really great, or it could end up being the Trios Championship all over again. Give the championship to fucking somebody else, please. I'm sorry. Samoa Joe should not be winning Trios matches.
No, they had an opportunity to give it to the Hurt Syndicate, and Samoa Joe and Strabon and Hobbs could still beat the shit out of Hangman Page and set up that feud for Full Gear. There's a way out of that. There still is a way out of that. Tony just needs to do it. Here's my question. Do we have the finals for this tournament on a Dynamite, or do we have it at Full Gear?
That's a good question. With it only being like 3 rounds,
I say we can do it at Full Gear. We have to do it at Full Gear.
Yeah, I think it has to be at Full Gear. What probably happens is we do the first round this week coming up, the second round the next week. The third week would be Blood and Guts, I believe. So you could have that Blood and Guts match and not have the finals take place there and save the finals for Full Gear. If it's not at Full Gear, that's a wasted opportunity for a pay-per-view match.
I 100% agree with that. Here's my next question. If it is at Full Gear, do you think this is where the women main event?
I mean, there's a good opportunity they may, but I'd have to see what the world title scene looks like. If it's Samoa Joe and Hangman again, they didn't main event at WrestleDream, so my assumption would be if it's Joe versus Hangman again, that they would get the main event spot. But at the same time, I could see it with as big as this announcement was for the women's world tag team belts, that they could have that moment. But then I could also see Statlander and Monet main eventing. So I mean, they could do the thing WWE. They could
my next question.
Go ahead. I was going to say they could do the thing WWE does and have a triple main event.
I don't like that. I don't like that double main event, triple main. I don't like it. The main event is the last match of the night. There is no others. My next question would be then is, let's say the women in some capacity main event Full Gear, whether it's Monet versus Statlander, whether it's the women's tag team belts. Do you think this diminishes the importance of Hangman Page being the world champion or the AEW World Championship in general? Seeing that if the women, or let's just not even put it the woman, if Hangman doesn't main event this pay-per-view, that's 2 pay-per-views in a row, one of them being one of the 4 pillar of the AEW pay-per-views with Full Gear, Double or Nothing, All In, Revolution, All Out, whatever. One of the big pay-per-views for AEW since its inception, Heyman would go 2 straight pay-per-views without main eventing it as the world champion. Do you think that diminishes his title reign or diminishes the world title at all?
No, I if anything, it establishes the other matches as being because I think even from its inception, Tony Khan had this idea that we don't really have a mid card, we don't really have an upper card. any match can be the main event type deal, and as long as the Hangman has good matches, and he's being a really good champion, which I think at this moment in time he is. My gut though says that Hangman's going to main event Full Gear, because I think we get MJF's return at Full Gear. And AEW is good at, if there's going to be a return or something, that always usually main events. Like the spot with like the reason Darby had to main event was because you couldn't have Sting show up and then have one more match take place. Like that had to end the show. And so if MJF does show up, though, I mean, I don't know. I could see it going either way. I don't think it diminishes anything. But I could go. I mean, I could see people having the view that it does. It's supposed to be the most prestigious belt in your company, and but at the same time, we've kind of progressed to where like all of AEW's belts have some form of prestige, and like if like Okada could main event and it wouldn't mean anything. Like obviously. The men's world title is the most prestigious belt. It could start the show, and I think it would still have the same prestige.
Fair enough. I agree. I thought that was an interesting point of topic to bring up.
Alrighty, my friend. That's all I wanted to talk about today. Any last things that you want to bring up before we close the show?
Not from the wrestling aspect of things. I think we've got everything kind of talked about for this special Friday night episode of Beyond the Junkyard.
So, as we close this show, I would just like to ask if you know how to play defense, to please join the Buffalo Bills, as we are very, 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 very in need of defense. All of our defenders are hurt. Or you could volunteer for the Washington Commanders. You look like you got something you want to say, my friend.
If you've ever taken a defensive snap in your life, high school, Pee Wee, Pop Warner, sign up.
Yeah,
we are accepting anybody and everybody.
That's the way it's been in the NFL this year, it seems.
We are garbage.
Alrighty, I'm going to turn it over to my man, Cody Marinera, to say the final words.
Well, first off, I guess I should probably ask, are you doing a Saturday show tomorrow?
I am.
Okay. Well, in that case, lucky for y'all, you get to see that beautiful man's face back-to-back days, or hear his beautiful voice back-to-back days with tonight's show and his show tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. Tune into his show tomorrow. And then obviously catch us back here. We should be back to our normal scheduled programming next Thursday night, 9 o'clock Eastern. Of course, unless anything pops up, but we should be back on our regularly scheduled programming for next week. Again, happy belated birthday to Yo Papa, and hopefully he enjoyed any some sort of sauce or any sort of sauce. I'm sure if not, then he definitely will this weekend. Yeah, and before we go, I want to give a special thinking about you, praying for you to one of my good friends out in Tennessee, Mr. Ricky. Lost his mother this past week. A very, very nice woman, and had a lot of health issues over the last year, and he just recently got engaged a couple months ago. So kind of tough time for him. And so for anybody who practices and praying, or even not, just positive vibes, positive thoughts, send those to his way. Definitely needs it over the next little while here for sure. So thinking about you, and he's a Yankee at heart, and I think he would enjoy having some sauce. So it doesn't cure everything, it really doesn't, but you know what, a nice warm pot of sauce um, can at least be a good sympathy food for sure, I think. So with that being said, for him and for everybody else, today, tonight, tomorrow, this weekend, as you're partaking in adult activities, watching wrestling, watching sports, make sure to pile up your special kind of condiment, your special kind of sauce, and make sure that you dip some stuff into it. You eat some goodies with it, while all the while staying saucy, friends. We will see you next Thursday night, 9 o'clock Eastern. Stay saucy, friends.